Okay, let me bring up. I think everyone has a copy of the game board. Do you have it, Phil? Can you
I
put?
do. Do you want me to
Okay.
share it?
Yes, please.
All right, cool.
And I'm going to find my facilitator sheet. So I have facilitator sheets and I have, oh, the questions. Let me find the questions. All right, there we go. Okay. So on the facilitator sheet, session goal, help participants experience the governance challenges surrounding AI infrastructure, public participation, and infrastructure transparency. Let's see. Key reminders, avoid steering toward predetermined outcomes, encourage systems thinking, keep discussions grounded and collaborative, treat uncertainty as part of the exercise. So I don't know if we should have a breakout room at some point when we have different factions considering whether they will say yes or no to the data center. That'll be the question. So we have community and residents, that's one faction. Their primary concern is quality of life, water and energy usage, housing and affordability, and public transparency. Uh,
Shelley, can I suggest, since we only have so many people on the call, what if we just each of us got assigned one of these stakeholder roles, and then our job would be to kind of represent that one stakeholder?
okay,
Do you think about that? And then we can spend a few minutes journaling what we're concerned about, what our questions are, and then we could
okay.
just talk and kind of play the role. Does that sound would that work?
That can work. Anything can work. It's a pilot. Anything can work. So here are the stakeholders. There actually are more in the full game, but since we have not as many people, I consolidated it. So we have community and residents, government and utilities, and developers and industry. So if anyone knows which one they want to do, you can choose it, just as long as we have three of them chosen.
Okay, so you said developer and industry, government, and what else?
Government and utilities. So that's going to be like BGE, infrastructure, um,
Okay, that's interesting. And then the third one was
community,
residents.
residents, community and residents.
Interesting. All right. Maybe we do need teams then, since those are three. I was looking at the game board and I was seeing seven. So,
Yeah, I'm
okay.
not going to use all seven because we don't have that many people.
Okay. All right. So, do you
So,
want to do breakout rooms and people can brainstorm what they want to emphasize? Do you want to give us any guidance on like what exactly should we be coming back to the group with after we work together in a breakout room?
okay, hang on a second. Let me bring up the facilitator guide again. Oh, I wanted to point out at the top of the game board where you see grid capacity, water stress, public trust, and economic benefit. Well, actually, I'm going to send this to I'll see if I can put this in chat so you guys can just have it and refer to it. I'm going to put two things in chat.
So I see we have eight people. What if we split government and utilities and we had two groups? Because I think those have different interests, right?
They can, but from my experience, working on the data center issue, in PG County, they often don't.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, okay. I'm just trying to imagine what that looks like for somebody to represent both of them, because I kind of have some idea of what government might be interested in here, but like government representatives. and some idea of what a utility company might be interested in, but they don't.
Um, Often what I've seen is that they're often concerned with revenue. They think that there'll be more jobs and they kind of go for that. And also, it doesn't appear that anybody really knows what they're doing. They're kind of winging it because they don't understand AI. And we talk, and
All
this
right.
is under the umbrella of capacity, building capacity. Citizens don't have it, but I find that the government doesn't have much of it either, especially local government, like the county level. So I put sheets in there so you have
I think we probably aren't going to end up reading these kinds of sheets. I think we need a little guidance verbally on what to do. Um, I'm just guessing.
okay. Okay, but
So,
that just has stakeholder roles if you want more information, outcomes and whatnot. So the first
okay.
phase is a proposal. So let me find a proposal. And we're dealing with a proposal. A data center is going to be built in your county, and then you start working on the pros and cons from your perspective, from your role, and then we come together like we would in not a debate, a policy discussion, decide if we're going to say yes or no.
Yeah. Like the board of directors or something, or the
Yes.
city
Yeah.
council or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, okay. I like it. So I'm going to start assigning, but I think I'll give people the choice of what group they want to join. So you have three groups here: developers and industry, government and utilities, and residents and community. Would folks just type in the chat which of these they want to play? And let me say, from my own experience with these kinds of role play exercise, sometimes it's really fun and instructive to pick a position that's kind of outside of your like stuff you're familiar with. So feel free to pick, something other than what might directly apply to you. Okay. But who would like to? Great. You guys can be that residents and community. All right. So the students are in there.
Oh, Azure likes controlled chaos. Developer Azure. You can be Amazon.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Would others volunteer for one of these groups to role play? Everybody on the call? Remember, we're play testing this. Well,
Okay.
well, at least one of the people on the call is an AI. So, but we're play testing this. So, who would like to help us play test it?
Oh, we wanted to be residents and community.
You got it. You're in. I got you there. I'm just filling in the rest of the breakout rooms before you open them up and send people to the breakout rooms for 5 or 10 minutes to do their deliberation. Okay, Bola, I see you. Um, I'll put you on residence and community
That works.
if you want. All right. Anybody else? Ola Sola, where are you going to be? Shelley, where are you going to be?
I think I will do government because that's what I don't want to do. So I'll challenge myself and do that one. And
All
I
right. And
think,
Ola Sola is in there too. So you guys will work together, and then I can work on developers and industry with Azure. All right, I'm going to open the rooms. Okay.
okay,
Here we
I'm going to
go.
put a facilitator sheet in here in case people need help getting started.
Okay, sounds good. So, but first, before we go into the rooms, can you just give us kind of verbally, like, what are like two questions we should answer as a group? Like, yeah, something like that. Does that sound fair?
What are the pros and cons? Like, what are the impacts? Um, is something that I would want to know. Like if it's worth it for a community to put a data center there, what's in it for them? And I think Well, see, that's only from the resident's point of view, because I'm a
No, I think
resident.
that's good. So kind of like, what are the pros
Utility
and cons?
bills, utility bills are a big issue for residents because they want to, how much will it cost them as opposed to what they get from it?
So how about just like, what are your main concerns about the proposed big data center project? Something like
Yeah.
that.
If you have like two or three main concerns, you can state that. And then there's some questions on the facilitator sheet that you can answer about it.
Okay, sounds good. So first question is, what are your main concerns? And then second is answering questions on the facilitator sheet if you can.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me. All right, let's do it. Well,
Let's do maybe 10 minutes.
it sounds good.
Okay.
So we'll meet back in the main room at 3:32 with our notes.
Okay.
All right, see you guys soon.
Alrighty.
Okay, so are we just gonna jump into the city council meeting and give voice to our various perspectives and then maybe hash it out? I think maybe every group should get, a few minutes to make their case. What do you think? Or share their concerns. You're muted, Shelley.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Cool. Okay, who wants to start us off?
I can go. So the biggest concern to the community is the rising or the effects on the cost of utilities, including power and water, as well as like environmental concerns of noise, the urban heat island effect, and water degradation. We'd like to know like what is it gonna what effect is it gonna have on the cost of utilities? And what assurances and safe or what is the positive impact in general on us? Like what do the citizens get out of this? And then for assurances and safeguards we'd want would be like an environmental impact study, the actual benefits listed out, community oversight, as well as like maybe a board of citizens. And for the data center company to invest into local utilities and the grid.
Mm.
Frantically trying to take notes. I don't think I got all of it, but got some of it. Okay, good. Cost. Okay. Next group.
Ooh, I'd like to hear from the developers if they're ready.
Sure, I think we can do that. Azura, you want to do that?
Oh, yeah, sure. Although I didn't take notes on everything that we were saying. And I'm sorry, there's a motorcycle driving in the background. I hope that's not too loud here. So I guess some of the pros and cons as we see them. We see that this data center will create a lot of jobs in the area and some economic growth. We also talked about the issues that were concerning to the citizens. So, for example, the water usage and the electricity usage, and how that would affect the costs of people in the area. And regarding that, we discussed how we have established these data centers in other areas, and we kind of have a basis from which to evaluate and give you data on what kind of changes you might see and how to keep costs from rising for others in the area. We also talked about potentially giving citizens or the region some kind of cost saving benefit or even help building the infrastructure for water and power to make it more efficient and more affordable. Some of our concerns are whether the infrastructure will be stable enough for us, whether economic development in the area is stable, so that we can have stable cost predictions about running this data center in the future. And also whether local government will support our efforts to develop the data center.
Great, thank you. And then maybe from the last group, Shelley Nolasola. Oh no, sorry. Shelley Nolasola.
If he wants to go, he can do it. Otherwise, I can.
Oh no, I was in the residents and
Oh,
community.
Bola,
Okay.
Bola wanted to add something. Go ahead, Bola.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
No, I wasn't sure if we already went because sorry, I had to take a call, but I was gonna say all Miss Azure just said was, concerns that residents had, and I know Logan might have already mentioned a bunch of it, but all the things she said basically we have to think about as the residents of the community. So, like the environmental impact and to see if they could like find a way for controlled housing or tax breaks for the residents or, long-term growth, like she mentioned, and how they want to expand, like what's going to stop them from just buying up properties and just like kicking people out or Logan had mentioned setting up a committee to kind of regulate and all those type of things. So I wasn't sure if we had spoken yet. So when you said next group, I was just trying to like to speak.
Right, right. Yeah, Olasola, do you want to go over what you guys came to? Government and utilities? Olasola might have stepped away. Shelley, you want to do it?
Okay. We talked about grid reliability and infrastructure. Like the government might have an incentive to approve data centers so that they have assistance with infrastructure upgrades. Economic development, we thought that they would be interested in potential jobs and tax revenue. And let's see. We also discussed probably that there's a conflict with government, like politicians who are concerned with taxes and finding resources for their municipalities and the growing opposition to data centers from their residents. And that conflict might create mistrust. Oh, um, this discussion question here for our breakout room. Accountability mechanisms. We talked about getting like a report card for developers. So we know what what they've done in the past, if they had any issues, what was the economic outcome for the community, and we were interested in more transparency to um, decrease community mistrust.
Great. So I know this is not a complete tally here. I've tried to capture some of what was said in the exercise. Thoughts? Where should we go? Should we build this data center or not? What conditions should we make on building this data center? Is that a fair question to ask at this point in the simulation?
It is a fair question. I will say that if we were playing a larger game at this point, I would throw in another card.
Oh,
And so where you think you are, you may end up someplace else. So example cards are that we get transmission upgrades are delayed. So that's going to impact grid capacity. That may change how people think. Or a negative story comes out in the newspaper, and that may change how people think. But for the purpose of this one, we'll just go on and consider what we have thus far, if you would say yes or no to the proposal.
Like it. Like it. Yeah. I mean, a lot of things to be hashed out. It's hard to say yes or no until the various worries of each group are addressed, right?
That's true. And I think in the game, like you can go back and forth with that. So let's see, what were some of the issues that came up? Let me look back at your sheet. What were the issues that came up from residents?
The residents' concern about water degradation, cost of utilities. Some of their asks were very specific. They were like, put some community members on the board, and the company should invest in the local energy infrastructure. And they kind of asked, like, hey, what if anything is in it for us in this? Like, what do we get out of this? But I think the developers are going to answer, well, you get jobs, you get some economic growth in the area, right? And they have to kind of make the case that the pros are outweigh the
Yeah,
cons. Assuming that like people that the community even feels like they have a place at the table and it's not just going to happen no matter what they think. But if we can get the community to feel like they have agency, then they can ask these questions and they can actually kind of negotiate for their interests and say like, yeah, we prove it to us that it's actually worth it to us. Make it a sweeter deal for us.
right. And they do have power, but they're typically not at the table is the issue, but that's something that can be negotiated as well. I mean, I think as a representing government and utility, I would offer to residents that if the developers pay for um, infrastructure to support their data center, would that appease them and they'd say yes to this proposal?
What does the community say to that? Community?
I feel like we would probably appreciate that with other considerations, like I guess.
Yeah, that would be taking a step in the right direction, but they still have to, give us long-term plans and I guess schematics, like how it actually, impacts the environment. And if they want to make it bigger in the future, what's that gonna cause? All that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm. So you're still a no?
Right now, yeah, you can't. Yeah, I mean, you want to pay us to help you build your data center,
Okay.
basically. Like, you got to give us like free housing or something for me to switch. Got to build a house. So yeah, right now.
Okay.
I think like one of the other issues is like the main thing that the community has to offer is just like our vote. Because like that's the
Yeah.
only way we can really
That's true.
or have any impact on this issue.
That's true. What if the developer offers 200 construction jobs for the community that's getting the data center? Does that move you?
We talked about this a little bit, Logan. It kind of depends on the size of our community. If we're 20,000, size community, 200 jobs is not really. If we're a 500 size community and we're sold, that's about 50% impact. But it just depends. If you say like, let's say 10,000 jobs, then yeah, we're sold because you could. That's
Uh,
actually impact.
Does it matter if those jobs they only last until the data center is built?
Good question. I didn't think about that. Maybe I shouldn't be on the community committee.
And that makes it less appealing if it was a temporary boost in jobs, because
Yeah, that's a good
Mhm.
question. Uh, hmm.
But if I'm the government and I know that you don't know
I
that
know
those jobs are temporary,
you're still gonna do it anyway.
I'm just saying, like it might get people to say yes. because they think those jobs are permanent and they're not.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, if it's temporary, it's a different ballgame because what do people do after those jobs are over and like the center's here now, they just go back to their regular lives with a big center next to their homes and no. And I think, I guess maybe I'm just overdoing it here, but the main thing is the center is gonna be. I don't want to say self-sustainable. You're not gonna need too many hands-on. It's just a data center. You don't need too many people working at the data center, so it's not really where they can make a partnership where it's like, okay, it's in this community, so people, members from this community work at the data center. I mean, but yeah, honestly, I don't know. Like, I'm gonna leave it to the other member of the
Okay.
community, Logan.
What about the developers? Is there something you can offer to get the community on board?
Good question. Yeah, I mean, just coming back for a moment to like our interests, we want to get this thing up and running. And we are willing to do due diligence on environmental demands. We are willing to do kind of credits for those who seem to be affected by increased electricity costs or invest in infrastructure. We have the resources to do a lot, and we want to do it. But we need to be what we want most of all is reliability. We don't want the sands changing underneath of us because we're going to be investing in that new center. And we could have invested somewhere else, and our competitors are investing in places all over the country. And so we can't really be competitive with them if we start to build, we need it to be a competitive arrangement for one thing. So it's not the sky's the limit. We are willing to put in a little extra effort and extra money towards things, but it needs to be competitive. And then secondly, it really needs to be reliable because if the political sands change underneath of us and we're halfway to, building the thing and then the community decides they don't want it, that's a huge problem for us. So, we just, and the same with environmental regulations, like we're happy to meet the regulations, but we don't want arbitrary regulators. We don't want people to change the terms of the agreement. What can we offer? We can offer jobs. We can offer good paying jobs. Some of those will evaporate once the data center's built, but some of them will be ongoing. We're going to need maintenance. We're going to need people to work there. And we're offering a kind of economic growth in the area as well. So, and any investments, if infrastructure is something you'd like to see, that's stuff that the community benefits from going forward.
Yeah.
We also have expertise in doing this kind of project in other places and having it benefit the communities. We can give you examples of that. And we're happy to share that expertise with you and help move things forward in a positive way. Yeah, sorry, Zurf.
No, not at all. I was just going to highlight what you were saying, how this is a symbiotic relationship because both the residents and our data center would benefit from improved infrastructure and lower costs. So that's something that we're interested in growing as well in the area.
Okay, I'm going to channel Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Do we know how many permanent jobs we'll get if we accept the data center?
Well, it's very hard to know for sure.
In
It could be as much as 60 or 100. And then, of course, in our minds, we're thinking it's probably more like 15.
It's 15.
It's really 15, but we're saying it could be as many as 60 or 100. Yeah.
I'm concerned with my constituents that the rising utility costs and the 15 jobs don't pan out. it doesn't seem like a worthwhile thing. So what other economic incentives can you give my constituents?
Here's one that comes to mind. I mean, tax revenue. So we're going to be paying a fair bit of taxes on energy consumption and buying a lot of utilities, paying tax on that. So, I think that you're looking at and profit and so on. So I think you're looking at an increase to your public coffers. And we can earmark some of that money in collaboration with government. We can earmark some of that money for things like education or other public goods that are of interest to the community, if you would like to work on that.
Yeah, okay. So at this point, where does everyone stand?
I mean, if the
Would
company,
you say yes or no to the data center in your county?
the silence is showing that it's a tough question for everybody. Just for me, I don't think I would, honestly, even if you invest back in the community, build schools or yeah.
Okay.
I think that
Go on.
speaking from the developer's point of view, I don't think that they would even let it get to the stage of public inquiry unless they were reasonably confident they could make it happen anyway by offering enough incentives.
Yeah.
Hence the need for civic engagement.
Yeah, I think something else that is interesting is whether or not the government's subsidizing any of this in order to give a benefit to that, because I feel like that's something we haven't really talked about.
Well, I didn't want to mention it, but yes, we have offered the developer some tax write-offs and some incentives to sweeten the deal so that they'll build this data center. So it's actually going to cost the taxpayers a little bit to have them here.
Yeah, I think it is pretty clear to me that the deal for the community is a bad one. I
Yeah,
mean,
sure.
Yes.
and so you can
Yeah.
see why the developers have an incentive just not to let it get to this point of deliberation and looking at the pros and cons, because if that happens, then it's clear that their arrangement is not a good one. And they're in competition with other developers in other places who may succeed at shutting down that community conversation and will be more profitable as a result. So what can they do really in terms of their incentives other than try to shut down the democratic conversation and keep the arrangement one that can be profitable for them? Sorry, I'm drawing so many conclusions verbally here, but this
But that's kind of how it's been going. I will say that in for PG County, when they were going to put the data center, Bright Seat data center at the old Landover Mall, when the community did find out about it, and it was pretty far along in the process, they shut it down. So the
Yeah.
communities do have some say so, but they have to be part of the conversation. And a lot of the frameworks that I've seen, they're not included at all. I don't know if it's intentional. I'm not suggesting that it is. I just know that they're typically not at the table. And we need to develop that capacity and develop the framework for community participation. That's it. Oh, wait. On the let's see, there was some debrief and reflection sheet. Oh, what information did you wish your group had?
I think the community just wanted to hear if there were any actual like tangible benefits to us. I feel like that was kind of left out or vague.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to say we'd actually see the actual estimated revenue that they're going to be generating from this actual center, and what percent the community is actually going to be benefiting from too. So I feel like that's a big one. If you're just coming to put a center here and make like 90% profit, and you're giving like 10% back to the community. I mean, I don't know if the community can actually see all this information or request all that stuff, but that would be something to take into account. It's like you build a center here and you're just damaging the ecosystem or whatnot. Or we have to live with like bad water or noise and all this other stuff, but there's no actual tangible, a supposed symbiotic relationship. You're just benefiting more than we are. Like it's not really worth it.
I really appreciate that point that you made, Bola, that it is the developers, I think, have all of the information that they need practically. It's a matter of public record, most of it, that whatever they would need, but that's not necessarily true for the citizens. They cannot build the projections of like the developers can.
Yeah.
And then during the game I showed you, we would put an event card that would sort of change the outlook, and also potentially you can have people switch roles and see how that might affect gameplay. The last question I'll ask everyone is, how did they feel that the roles that they played impacted their thinking?
I mean, 100%. I mean, just because if I was a, you know, company looking to expand and I really needed a data center, I'll try to do or try to approach it from that perspective where I have to do what I have to do to, sell it to the
Mm-hmm.
families. But right now I'm a resident, like trying to make sure like the cost of housing doesn't increase or like I don't have noise or like my kids can grow up in a nice neighborhood and things like that. So definitely I'd say played a huge factor. And I just want to point out that I actually really like this game or this idea of a game. We need to do this more often or just get as we can. So I would say great job in facilitating Ms. Shelley and Mr. Phillip today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Of course.
Any comments, suggestions, tips, or whatever to make it better, please let us know.
Have you thought about like including like real world examples
Yes.
like Georgia, Memphis, Utah? I feel like those are all really good.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I think that this game can fit any uh proposal that we give it. Now, I may have to play with it, like call it something else, and change some things around, but yes, I think it can.
I think there's a way. So I think it works really well as a role playing and simulation exercise for teaching things about the topic. I I think there's a way to kind of streamline and make it more like a traditional board game or something like that that could still get that kind of effect, get people thinking. But I'm not sure exactly what that is. But I think there are ways of kind of making it a little bit more regularized in terms of what's expected of the players and how they kind of get points and things like that. So we can think about whether that's worth doing or just keeping it as this kind of level of simulation, which is also quite good.